The message came at midnight, Seoul time. Every screen on Earth went dark for 3 seconds. Then the face appeared. It was not human. The creature had gray skin, 6 eyes arranged in a circle, and a mouth that did not move when it spoke. The voice came directly into every mind on the planet. I am High Counselor Myra of the Galactic Council. Your species has been watched for 200 years. You were meant to stay quiet. You were meant to stay small. You have failed to obey. You have built ships that travel faster than light. This is forbidden. You have 72 hours to surrender all technology and accept compliance integration. If you refuse, your world will be erased. This is not a negotiation. This is your only warning. The screens went back to normal. But nothing was normal anymore. Commander Una Park stood in the control room of Earth Defense Command, deep under the mountains of Korea. She was 52 years old. Her hair was gray at the edges. Her eyes were tired but sharp. She had spent 30 years preparing for a war she hoped would never come. Now it was here. "Get me every world leader on a secure channel," she said. Her voice was calm. It was always calm. That was why they had chosen her. "We have 72 hours. We will not waste a single minute." Across the ocean, in a laboratory that officially did not exist, Dr. Tae-ho Kim sat alone with his thoughts. He was the man who had changed everything. 5 years ago, he had discovered how to fold space itself. His fold engine let ships travel between stars in seconds, instead of centuries. He had thought he was saving humanity. Now he wondered if he had doomed them instead. His phone rang. It was Commander Una. "Doctor," she said, "I need to know. How many ships do we have?" 512, Tae-ho answered. "Hidden behind Jupiter's moons. They have been there for 3 years, waiting. And the Council fleet? Our sensors show 10,000 warships moving toward Earth. They will arrive in 70 hours. There was silence on the line. Then Una spoke again. "Can we win?" Tae-ho closed his eyes. "I do not know. But I know we cannot surrender. I have seen their compliance integration. It is not partnership. It is slavery. They take your mind. They take your will. You become a tool for them to use. And we fight," Una said. "Thank you, Doctor." She ended the call and turned to face her officers. The room was full of the best military minds on Earth. They were all looking at her, waiting for answers she did not have. "We have 2 advantages," she began. "First, they think we are weak. They have never seen us fight. Second, our ships are faster than anything they have ever encountered. We will use both of these things." High Ambassador Jin Soo-han arrived at the command center 6 hours later. He was a small man with a gentle face and soft voice. People often made the mistake of thinking he was weak. Those people were always wrong. "I requested a meeting with the council leadership," Jinsu said. "They refused. They said primitives do not negotiate. They only obey." Una nodded slowly. "What did you say to them?" "I said nothing. I smiled and cut the connection. Let them wonder what that smile means." The next 48 hours were the busiest in human history. In secret bunkers around the world, leaders argued and planned. In hidden shipyards, crews ran final checks on weapons that had never been tested in real combat. In homes everywhere, families held each other and prayed to whatever gods they believed in. Tae-ho worked without sleep. He had one more secret, something he had told no one except Una. Hidden in his laboratory was a message. It had been found buried deep under the ice of Antarctica. The message was in a language that should not exist. It was in ancient Korean, and it told a story that would change everything. But that would come later. First, they had to survive. The 72 hours ended on a Tuesday morning. The sun rose over the Pacific Ocean, painting the sky in shades of gold and red. In space, the Council fleet had formed a wall of metal around Earth. 10,000 ships, each one armed with weapons that could destroy a city in seconds. High Counselor Mira appeared on every screen again. His 6 eyes showed something that might have been amusement. "Your time is finished, humans. You will now surrender. Send your leaders to us. Bring all records of your fold technology. Resistance is not possible. You are children facing the power of civilizations 50,000 years older than your own. We have conquered 1,000 species. You will be 1,001. This is your fate. Accept it." The screens went dark again. Every human heart waited. Every human breath stopped. Then Earth responded. Commander Una Park stood at the center of the broadcast station. Behind her was the flag of the United Earth Defense Force, a blue planet surrounded by stars. Her face filled every screen on the planet and every screen on every council ship. "Hi, Counselor Mira," she said. Her voice was steady. Her eyes were cold. "You have made a mistake. You have confused our silence for weakness. You have confused our patience for fear. You are wrong." She paused. The silence stretched across the void between stars. "You ask us to surrender? You ask us to become slaves. You ask us to give up everything that makes us human. Our answer is simple. Our answer is final." She leaned forward slightly. Her words became ice. "Come closer." The transmission ended. Across the council fleet, confusion spread. What did it mean? Was it a threat? A bluff? A joke? High Counselor Mira laughed. It was a sound like grinding metal. "Foolish creatures," he said to his admirals. "They choose death. Give them what they want. All ships advance. Destroy their cities. Leave nothing alive." The fleet began to move. 10,000 warships, armed with the fire of dying stars, moved toward the small blue planet that had dared to defy them. They did not see the shadows waiting behind them. They did not sense the 500 ships hidden in the dark places between planets. They did not know that humanity had been preparing for this moment for longer than they could imagine. The trap was set. The bait was taken. And Earth, small and fragile and impossibly brave, waited for the moment to strike back. The war for the galaxy had begun. The Council fleet moved like a wave of death toward Earth. 10,000 ships, each one larger than a city, each one carrying enough firepower to burn continents. High Counselor Mira watched from his command, thrown with satisfaction. This would be over quickly. These humans would learn what happened to species that defied the Council, then space itself tore open behind him. 500 points of light appeared where nothing had been. Ships materialized out of empty darkness, each one sleek and deadly and impossible. They had come from nowhere. They had come from everywhere. They were behind the Council fleet, cutting off any escape. Captain Doyen Lee sat in the command chair of the ESS Silent Thunder, the first ship humanity had ever built for war between stars. He was 40 years old, with calm eyes and steady hands. He had trained for this moment for a decade. Now it was here. "Open a channel to the Council flagship," he said. "Let them hear us." His voice filled every speaker on every Council ship. "High Counselor Mira, you surrounded us. Now we surround you. Your fleet is trapped between Earth and our forces. You cannot run. You cannot hide. For the first time in 50,000 years, someone is pointing a weapon at your heart." He paused to let the words sink in. "Shall we talk?" On the Council flagship, chaos erupted. Officers screamed at their sensors. The readings made no sense. These human ships were running on technology that should not exist. Their engines spent space in ways the Council had never achieved. Their weapons charged with energy signatures no database could identify. "How is this possible?" Mira demanded. His 6 eyes were wide with something new, something he had not felt in centuries. Fear. They were primitives. They discovered fire only 100,000 years ago. Lieutenant Somi Choi smiled at her console on the Silent Thunder. She was 28 years old, the youngest tactical officer in the fleet, and the most dangerous. Her specialty was electronic warfare. She had spent 3 years learning every secret of Council communication systems. Now she used that knowledge. "Broadcasting on all Council frequencies," she reported. "They cannot block us. They cannot jam us. Every ship in their fleet will hear what we say next." Captain Doyu nodded. "Good. Send the message from Earth. Send them the truth." The transmission began. It was not from the military. It was from a small woman with gray hair and kind eyes. Her name was Bora Jang, and she was a historian. She had spent her life studying the past. Now she was about to change the future. "People of the Galactic Council," Bora said. Her voice was gentle but clear. "You call yourselves the Elder Races. You say you are 50,000 years ahead of humanity. You say, we are children who must obey. But you are wrong. You are not our elders. You are our children." On 1,000 worlds, billions of beings stopped to listen. 100,000 years ago, humanity was not primitive. We were great. We had conquered death, bent space, and touched the minds of gods. We built ships that could cross galaxies in heartbeats. And we sent those ships out into the universe, carrying our people to new homes among the stars. Bora held up a small device. It projected an image that made Counselor Mira gasp. It was a ship. An ancient ship, its design unmistakable. It was identical to the oldest relics in the Council's most sacred vaults. "These are not your ancestors' ships," Bora continued. "They are ours. We built them. We sent them. The colonists aboard those ships traveled for 10,000 years. When they arrived at their new worlds, they had forgotten where they came from. They had changed, evolved, become new species. But they were still human. The images changed. Genetic maps appeared on every screen. DNA patterns that matched across species that had believed themselves completely different. Ancient symbols found on 100 worlds, all identical to markings discovered in Antarctica on Earth. "You are our descendants," Bora said. "Every species in the Council. Every being that has ever looked at the stars and wondered where they came from. You came from here. You came from Earth. You came from us." Silence fell across the galaxy. The kind of silence that changes everything. On the Council flagship, High Counselor Mira stared at his own hands. Gray skin, 6 eyes. A body nothing like the humans on his screens. But the evidence was undeniable. His DNA carried markers that matched perfectly with sequences found in human cells. His species' oldest languages contained words that came directly from ancient Korean. His people's most sacred creation myths described a blue world with one yellow sun. "This is a lie," he whispered. But even as he spoke, he knew it was not. "We did not come to conquer you," Captain Doyen's voice returned. "We came to remind you. You forgot who you were. You forgot where you came from. You built an empire on that forgetting, and you used it to crush anyone who threatened to remind you of the truth." His voice hardened. "But we remember. Earth remembers. And now you have a choice. You can fight us and destroy yourselves trying to kill the truth. Or you can come home. You can remember. You can be our family again." The Council fleet did not fire. For the first time in 50,000 years, no one gave orders. No one knew what to do. The foundation of their civilization had just cracked beneath them. On the Council homeworld, a planet called Origin Prime, crowds gathered in the streets. They had watched the broadcast. They had seen the evidence. And they were angry. Not at Earth, at their own leaders. At the lies they had been told for generations. "They knew," someone shouted. "The Council knew. They hid the truth from us." The riots began within hours. Statues of ancient leaders were torn down. Government buildings were surrounded by millions demanding answers. The perfect order of 50,000 years began to crumble. High Counselor Myra watched the reports from his throne. His fleet surrounded by humans. His homeworld in chaos. His entire understanding of reality destroyed in a single hour. "We are them," he said finally. His voice was broken, empty. All this time. All these wars. All this suffering. We were killing our own family. Commander Unipark appeared on his screen. Her face showed no triumph, only sadness. "Yes," she said simply. "You were. But you do not have to continue. The past is finished. The future is not yet written. What happens next is your choice." Amira looked at her for a long moment. This human, this primitive, this distant mother of his entire species, what would you have us do? He asked. Una smiled. It was the first time she had smiled in days. "Come home," she said. "Come home and help us fix what was broken." And across the stars, in the hearts of beings who had just discovered they were not alone, something ancient began to wake. Something that remembered. Something that wanted to believe. The collapse had begun, but so had the healing. The truth spread faster than light itself. Every communication network in 3 galaxies carried the same message. Every planet, every station, every ship heard the words that changed everything. The council races were human. They had always been human, and they had been lied to for 50,000 years. On Origin Prime, Council's capital world, the streets burned with anger. Not the fire of weapons, but the fire of betrayed trust. Millions gathered outside the Grand Assembly building, demanding answers. Soldiers refused orders to control the crowds. They had seen the evidence too. They were asking the same questions. Dr. Yoonji Roo watched the chaos from her small office on Earth. She was a linguist, a quiet woman who had spent her life studying alien languages. Now she understood why those languages had felt so familiar. They were not alien at all. They were cousins of Korean, Chinese, Arabic, Swahili, distant branches of the same tree. The grammar structures matched perfectly. She explained to Commander Yuna during a late-night call. Council Standard has the same deep patterns as proto-human languages from 80,000 years ago. They did not develop these languages on their own. They inherited them from us. Can you prove it? Yuna asked. I already have. The proof is being broadcast across the galaxy right now. High Counselor Myra tried to hold his empire together. He ordered all communications silenced. He demanded that the military seize control of broadcast stations. He threatened death to anyone who shared the human message. But it was too late. The truth was everywhere, and his own forces were turning against him. Admiral Hannah Yoon commanded the Third Fleet, 2,000 warships stationed near the galactic core. She was a calm woman with silver scales instead of skin, a member of a species that had served the Council faithfully for 30,000 years. She had believed in the Council's mission. She had trusted its leaders. Now she understood that everything she believed was a lie. All ships, she announced over fleet communications. Stand down. We will not fire on Earth. We will not fire on anyone. I am ordering a full withdrawal to neutral space. Admiral, her second-in-command, protested. That is treason. No, Hannah replied quietly. Treason is lying to your people for 50,000 years. Treason is building an empire on forgotten truth. I will not add more scenes to that pile. Similar scenes played out across the galaxy. Fleet after fleet refused orders. Captains turned their ships away from Earth. Some joined the humans. Others simply stopped fighting. The great war machine of the Council ground to a halt because the soldiers no longer believed in what they were fighting for. Lieutenant Somi Choi worked without sleep for 3 days. Her job was to keep the truth flowing. Council loyalists were attacking communication satellites, trying to create blackouts. She fought back with every trick she knew. They can shut down one network, she told Captain Doyen. I open 2 more. They block one frequency. I find 10 new ones. Information wants to be free, and this information will not be caged. On a small moon orbiting a forgotten planet, a group of Council historians gathered in secret. They had known. Not everything, but enough. They had found records that did not match official history. They had asked questions that got them transferred to remote posts. Now they finally understood why. The founders knew, said the oldest among them, a being with 4 arms and sad eyes. They knew where we came from. They chose to forget. They chose to make us forget. Why? Power, answered another. If everyone knew we were all the same, all descended from the same source, there could be no rulers and ruled. There could be no superior races. There could only be family, and family shares. Family does not conquer. General Minho Beek led the first human peacekeeping mission to Council space. His soldiers landed on a border world torn apart by riots. They did not come with weapons drawn. They came with food, medicine, and open hands. The locals stared at these strange beings. Pink skin, only 2 eyes. bodies so fragile they seemed impossible. Yet they moved without fear. They helped without asking for anything in return. "Why are you doing this?" A local elder asked Minho. "We threatened your world. We called you primitives. We would have enslaved you." Minho smiled. It was a tired smile, but genuine. "You did not do those things. Your leaders did. And even they did not know the full truth. How can we blame you for sins committed while you were still asleep? We are here to help you wake up. Nothing more." The elder was silent for a long moment. Then, slowly, he reached out his hand. Minho took it. On a world far from Earth, two branches of the human family touched for the first time in 100,000 years. High Counselor Mira made his last broadcast from a bunker deep beneath. Origin Prime, his fleet had abandoned him. His government had collapsed. His own guards had refused to protect him from the crowds that wanted his blood. "This is not the end," he declared. His voice was desperate, broken. "The Council will rise again. The true order will be restored. You cannot destroy 50,000 years of civilization with simple words." Commander Unipark responded from Earth. "We did not destroy anything, Counselor. Your civilization destroyed itself. It was built on lies. When the lies crumbled, so did everything else. We only told the truth. What you do with that truth is up to you." She paused and her voice softened. "But we hope you choose well. We hope you choose to remember instead of forget. We hope you choose family instead of empire. We hope you choose love instead of fear. That is all we have ever wanted. For all of us, together, to come home." The screen went dark. Mira sat alone in his bunker, surrounded by the ruins of his power. Outside, the crowds had stopped shouting. A strange quiet had fallen over Origin Prime, the quiet of a world holding its breath, the quiet of a civilization waiting to see what would come next. On the Council's capital station, the lights went out. Not from attack, but from choice. The staff had turned off the power themselves. They no longer believed in what the station represented. They no longer wanted to serve the lie. Commander Yuna watched the station go dark from her command center on Earth. Dr. Taiho stood beside her. "They did not collapse because of us," Yuna said quietly. "They collapsed because they were built on forgetting, on lies, on fear." "What happens now?" Taiho asked. Yuna turned to face the stars. Somewhere out there, 2,000 species were waking up from a dream of 50,000 years. They were scared, confused, lost. They needed help. "Now," she said, "we help them remember who they really are." The collapse was complete. But in the ruins, something new was already beginning to grow. 3 months after the Council fell, the galaxy was in chaos. Without central control, old hatreds surfaced. Species that had been forced to cooperate now turned on each other. Warlords claimed systems for themselves. Trade routes collapsed. On 1,000 worlds, people starved because the ships that brought food no longer came. Director Junwoo Shin stood before the United Earth's Assembly with a proposal that seemed impossible. He was young for such a position, only 45, with tired eyes and the weight of billions on his shoulders. "We cannot fix this alone," he said, "but we can start something new. Not a council that rules from above. Not an empire that conquers. A Congress where every species has a voice. Where every world has a vote. Where no one is master and no one is slave." The assembly was silent. Then Ambassador Jin Soo-han spoke. "Some will say we are being foolish. That we should use this moment to take power for ourselves. That we have earned the right to rule after what the Council tried to do to us." He paused, looking around the room. "But that is exactly what the original Council said 50,000 years ago. They forgot they were human, and they became tyrants. If we make the same choice, we will become the same thing. I did not survive to watch us become what we fought against. No. The vote was unanimous. Earth would build something new. Not an empire, but a family." Ambassador Jinsu traveled more in the next 6 months than most people traveled in their lives. He visited 200 star systems personally. He sat with warlords and begged them to stop fighting. He met with angry crowds and listened to their pain. He did not promise easy answers. He only promised that humanity would stand beside them, not above them. On a world called Bitter Shore, he faced the hardest meeting of his life. The local species had been among the most loyal to the Council. They had helped enforce compliance integration on dozens of worlds. Now, they were hated by everyone, including themselves. Why would you help us? Their leader demanded. We did terrible things. We believed the lies. We hurt so many people. Jinsu sat quietly for a long moment before answering. Because hurt people hurt people. You did what you did because you were taught it was right. You were victims before you were soldiers. That does not erase what happened, but it means you can choose differently now. You can help heal the wounds you helped create. The leader wept. It was the first time anyone had offered forgiveness instead of blame. General Minho Bey commanded the peacekeeping forces that moved from system to system, protecting refugees and stopping warlords. His soldiers were not conquerors. They were helpers. They built shelters. They treated the sick. They stood between the weak and those who would harm them. On a station orbiting a dying star, Minho faced his greatest test. A warlord named Kel had taken 30,000 hostages. He threatened to kill them all unless the humans left his territory. Minho did not attack. Instead, he went to the station alone, unarmed. He walked through the warlord's guards, as if they were not there. He found Kel in his throne room and sat down across from him. You can kill me, Minho said, but it will not save you. Your people are already turning against you. They have seen what we offer: freedom, dignity, hope. You can kill all 30,000 hostages, but you cannot kill what they now believe. You cannot kill hope. Kel stared at this strange human for a long time. What do you want from me? He asked finally.
Nothing.
We want nothing from you. We want something for you. We want you to stop being afraid. We want you to stop hurting others because you were hurt. We want you to come home. The warlord's hand shook. His weapon stayed at his side. Home, he repeated, as if he had never heard the word before. Home, Minho confirmed. Where you are not alone. Where you do not have to fight to survive. Where family waits for you, no matter what you have done. Kel surrendered 3 hours later. He became one of the strongest voices for peace in the outer systems. On Earth, Dr. Moreo led a team of scientists into the most secret vault on the planet. It was hidden beneath the Antarctic ice, in a chamber that had been sealed for 100,000 years. Inside was the original colony ship, the first vessel that had carried humanity to the stars. The ship's records were still intact. Moreo spent weeks decoding them, uncovering the truth of why ancient humanity had left Earth. They knew something was coming, she told Commander Yuna in a secure briefing. Something massive. A cosmic event that would threaten all life in the galaxy. They could not stop it, so they spread humanity across the stars instead. They hoped that by the time the event came, their descendants would be numerous enough and strong enough to survive. When? Yuna asked. When is this event supposed to happen? Moreau's face was grave. 500 years from now. Give or take a decade, former High Counselor Mira requested asylum on Earth. The decision was not easy. He had threatened to destroy humanity. He had ordered their enslavement. Many wanted him punished, but Commander Yuna made the choice herself. Mercy is not weakness, she said to those who objected. It is strength. If we kill him, we become like the Council. If we show him kindness when he showed us none, we prove that humanity is something worth following. Mira was given a small apartment in Seoul. He spent his days meeting with humans, learning their history, trying to understand how a species so young had grown so wise. He never stopped being amazed. The first Galactic Congress convened on a station built in neutral space. Halfway between Earth and what had been Council territory, 2,000 species sent representatives. The station was so crowded that people had to wait in lines just to find seats. Director Junwoo Shin gave the opening address. His words were broadcast to every world that could receive them. We were once one family, he said. Scattered across the stars. We forgot each other. We forgot ourselves. We built walls between us, and called them civilization. We created hierarchies and called them natural. He looked out at the thousands of beings watching him. Different shapes, different colors, different worlds, but all of them human in the deepest sense. Today we remember. Today, we choose to be family again. Not because we are forced to, not because we are conquered. Because we are tired of being alone, because we are ready to come home. The applause began slowly, then it grew, and grew, and grew, until the entire station shook with the sound of 2,000 species choosing hope over fear. The Congress had begun. The gathering was complete, and for the first time in 100,000 years, humanity was one again. 1 year had passed since Earth's response changed everything. The Galactic Congress now governed 3 galaxies with fairness instead of fear. Trade routes reopened. Hungry worlds received food. Children who had known only war began to learn peace. Captain Do-Yan Lee stood on the bridge of his ship, watching the stars pass by. He was leading the first joint fleet mission in galactic history. 50 species had sent ships to fly together under a unified command. Their mission was simple. Find the remaining warlords. Offer them peace. And if peace was refused, make sure they could never hurt anyone again. Beside him stood Lieutenant Somi Choi, now promoted to commander. She had proven herself a dozen times over in the past year. Her quick mind and brave heart had saved countless lives. Do you think they will accept? She asked, looking at the approaching system. The last major warlord was hiding here, surrounded by stolen ships and desperate soldiers. Do-Yan considered the question carefully before answering. Most of them are not evil. They are scared. They grew up believing might made right. They need to see another way. If we show them kindness when they expect violence, some will change. Not all, but some. And that is enough. The warlord's name was Grim. He had terrorized a dozen systems before the joint fleet cornered him. When Do-Yan's face appeared on his screen, he laughed. You think you can defeat me with words? Grim sneered. I have 300 ships. I have weapons that can crack planets. Your little fleet means nothing. We did not come to defeat you, Do-Yan replied calmly. We came to invite you. The Congress is building something new. Something where even you could find a place. But only if you choose to stop hurting others. And if I refuse, then we will stop you. Not with hate. Not with anger. Just with the sad duty of people protecting their family from those who would harm it. Grim was silent for a long moment. Behind him, his officers whispered among themselves. They had heard the stories about the Congress, about worlds where people did not starve, about places where strength meant helping others instead of hurting them. You would truly take me in? Grim asked. His voice had changed. Something fragile had crept into it. After everything I have done, we would, Do-Yan said simply. The past cannot be undone, but the future is unwritten. What you do next matters more than what you did before. The warlord surrendered without a shot being fired. On Earth, Commander Una Park received the news with a quiet smile. She was older now, her hair fully gray, her face lined with the weight of the year behind her. But her eyes still held the same steel that had carried humanity through its darkest hour. Bring him to the Congress station, she ordered. He will stand before the assembly and answer for his crimes. But he will also have the chance to speak, to explain, to ask for forgiveness. That is the new way. The Galactic Congress had elected Una as its first speaker 3 months ago. She had not wanted the job. Power had never interested her. But the representatives from 2,000 species had asked, and she could not refuse her family. In her acceptance speech, she had said words that were now carved into the walls of the Congress chamber. Humanity did not conquer the galaxy. We reminded it of what it forgot, that we are stronger together, that family is not weakness, that the greatest power is not the ability to destroy, but the courage to forgive. Ambassador Jinsu Han and Counselor Hannah Yoon announced the opening of the Archive of Origins. It was a massive station dedicated to preserving the true history of all species. Here anyone could learn where they came from. Here, the lies of 50,000 years were replaced with truth. At the dedication ceremony, Hannah spoke with tears in her eyes. My people believed we were superior. We believed we had the right to rule. We were wrong. We were lost children pretending to be adults. Now we know the truth, and knowing the truth has set us free. Former High Counselor Mira attended the ceremony. He was old now, his gray skin wrinkled, his 6 eyes dim. But he had found something in his final years that he had never known before. Peace. When asked to speak, he approached the podium slowly. The crowd fell silent. Many still hated him. Many never would forgive, but they listened. I called myself the leader of the elder races, Mira said. I looked down on humanity as primitives. I ordered their destruction. I believed I was right. He paused, struggling to continue. I was not right. I was the most primitive being in the galaxy. Primitive, not in technology, but in spirit. I could not see the truth even when it stared at me. I could not accept that I was wrong even when the evidence was overwhelming. Only when humanity showed me mercy did I begin to understand. His voice broke. We called ourselves the Elder Races. We were only lost children. Thank you for helping us find our way home. Ancient message from the lunar vault was finally decoded in full by Dr. Murray. Oh, she shared it with the Congress in a special session. Ancestors left Earth because they knew something was coming, she explained. A cosmic event that would threaten all life. They could not stop it alone. So they scattered their children across the universe, hoping that one day we would reunite and face the threat together. That event will arrive in approximately 500 years. We do not yet know exactly what it is, but we know that our ancestors believed we could survive it. If we worked together, if we remembered we were family, Congress voted unanimously to establish the Long Watch, a joint effort by all species to prepare for whatever was coming. Not out of fear, but out of hope, out of faith in each other. On the observation deck of the Congress station, Dr. Taiho Kim stood watching ships from 100 worlds pass by in peaceful formation. He was old now, his back bent, his hands shaking. But his mind was still sharp, and his heart was full. Commander Somi Choi found him there, staring at the stars. We really did it, she said softly. We changed everything. Taiho smiled. It was the smile of a man who had seen the impossible become real. No, he said. They demanded we submit. We demanded they remember. And when they remembered who they were, they chose to come home, Somi finished. The stars shone on a galaxy united. Not by conquest, not by force, but by truth and mercy and the simple power of family. Humanity had not needed to fight the Council. They had only needed to remind them that they were human too. That everyone, everywhere, under every star, was part of the same ancient family. And now that family was together again, ready to face whatever came next, ready to face it as one, home at last.